Hello, welcome to Watan الكرامة News Service. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with latest news items from Libya. A source at Special Forces confirmed the targeting of an ambulance battalion number 17 in El Mahashish district, Botany area. The source added that the car was targeted by terrorist Daesh elements using RPG, wounding the driver at his aid. The source said that the injured people were taken to Al Abyar village hospital to receive the necessary treatments and first aid. Military sources stress that the Arab-Libyan armed forces took control of more than a dozen positions of terrorist Daesh group in Sabri and Souq al-Hud district in Benghazi. In the meantime, a medical source at Al-Gala hospital noted that 6 civilians were wounded during a bombing randomly launched by a terrorist Daesh group on residential neighborhood. Parliament Speaker and Chancellor Aguila Saleh Guaido received Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri in presence of Foreign Minister Mohammed Dairi and Libyan envoy to the United Nations Ibrahim Dabashi in New York to discuss the situation in Libya. Shukri stressed that his country's people and government pay great attention to the current situation in Libya, adding that his country is closely following the latest developments of Sikhira dialogue. Moreover, he stressed that his country supports the democratic process in Libya and supports the existence of national consensus between the Libyan parties. For its part, Guaido expressed his appreciation of efforts exerted by Egypt in support of the Libyan people to achieve security and stability. In the meantime, Dairi stressed that the depths of joint relations binding the two countries and the two brotherly peoples, as well as the importance of uniting their efforts to fight terrorism. Parliament Speaker Aguila Saleh Guaido met with the Kosovo Parliament Atifa Yahya Agha at the headquarters of Libyan mission in New York. Media advisor to Parliament Speaker Hamid Safi noted that the meeting came at the official invitations of the President of the Republic of Kosovo, Atifa Yahya Agha, to Parliament Speaker Aguila Saleh Guaido. The two sides tackled means of boosting bilateral relations in various fields. U.S. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon hailed the role of Egypt in solving the Libyan crisis by supporting the United Nations efforts to reach an agreement that would allow the formation of a government of national unity. For his part, the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed during his meeting with Ki-moon that Egypt supports the UN envoy's efforts and supports a political solution in Libya in line with the importance of fighting violence and terrorism. The President also stressed the importance of supporting the Libyan legitimate institutions, including parliament, the government emanating from it, as well as the Arab Libyan armed forces, called on the Security Council to lift the ban prohibiting the arms supply. The toll of the displaced families from the city of Sir to Bani Walid town rises to more than 170 families after terrorist Daesh group took control of Sirte. The head of the Wadi Dinar Charity Association said that families arrived in Bani Walid without any move from legal entities in the city, as the local council and social affairs institutions. He added that only charities that play the role of these legal entities, stressing that they provided families with their needs and housing. The United States is willing to work with Iran and Russia to try to end the Syrian conflict. U.S. President Barack Obama said today that, but insisted there could not be a return to status quo under Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, Obama said the United States is prepared to work with any nation, including Russia and Iran, to resolve the conflict. He added at the annual gathering of world leaders, realism dictates that compromise will be required to end the fight and ultimately stamp out terrorist Daesh group. Obama is scheduled to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the gathering for talks that could provide some hint on how it might be possible to end the conflict that has defied years of diplomatic efforts. And now we transfer to the Palestinian crisis. Clashes erupted between Israeli police and Palestinians at Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa compound today. Paramedics reported 3 injuries due to tear gas. No arrests were reported. Palestinians have said they fear that increasing visits by Jewish groups to the holy compound reserved by used as a site of biblical temples are recording Muslim religious and control there. Israel has pledged to maintain Muslim prayers rights at Al-Aqsa, but citing security concerns have frequently banned young Muslim men from entering the area, which is captured when it seized East Jerusalem and the West Bank in 1967 war. The area has seen days of arrest at Al-Aqsa over the past several weeks. In a statement, Saib Ariqa, Secretary General of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, called the new rules a mere pretext to justify escalating Israeli crimes against the people of Palestine. And now about Afghanistan and Taliban crisis. Afghanistan military sources said that Afghan forces preparing to retake Kunduz. Taliban insurgents broke into the main prison in Afghanistan northern city of Kunduz today, freeing hundreds of fellow militants hours after militants captured much of the city, to security officials said. Armed with rocket-propelled grenades, Taliban militants overwhelmed security guards at the jail in Kunduz city center, according to two officials there who spoke on conditions of anonymity. Government reinforcement were on their way to try to prevent the city from falling entirely to the Taliban, according to provincial deputy governor who spoke from the city airport after fleeing his office. A spokesman for Afghan Taliban said on Monday its fighters had seized the provincial government headquarters in the northern city of Kunduz and were moving towards the main airport, where some government officials had fled. A senior government official confirmed that the provincial headquarters had fallen into the insurgents, who launched a surprise attack at dawn and quickly swept through the city. And about also the crisis, but now between Turkey and PKK, a 9-year-old girl was killed and 5 people were wounded when a rocket fired by Kurdish militants hit a house in Bismil district of Diyarbakir province in southern Turkey. In southeastern Turkey, the local governor office said the Kurdish insurgents have targeted an armed police vehicle, but instead struck a 3-story house in the mainly Kurdish town of Bismil. It said in a separate incident today, 5 children were wounded when a bomb tore through a street in the Turkish city of Diyarbakir. Hospital officials said our deadly clashes in recent weeks have followed the collapse of a ceasefire by Kurdish elements. The children were hurt in Diyarbakir's historic district of Sur, scene of recent street clashes between security forces and PKK. A hospital official said the blast was caused by a bomb but did not elaborate. Authorities have sporadically imposed a curfew on Sur, a narrow warren of streets where vehicles cannot pass. It's also home to historic churches and mosques and a Roman-era fortress. And now we transfer to elections in Catalonia. The Catalan and Scottish independence movement, the two strongest in Europe, are entering a new phase with lessons to be learned from each other's experiences so far. Separatists won a clear majority of seats in Catalonia's parliament in regional elections, deepening its confrontation with the Madrid government. Despite the passions and raised hopes, both the Scots and the Catalans face a tricky road ahead as the poor central government as well as business, banks and European Union officials arrayed against them. And neither side enjoys overwhelming support from their own population, but they will at the very least remain a thorn in the side of politics in Britain and Spain for some years. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.watanalkarama.tv. Thanks for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدي.